Boys,
Hello.
we're back.
Do we have one to pour out?
What show is this?
Right. We should actually pour one out because Austin is no longer involved weekly in the Big Four.
I mean, you say that like anyone but me has been involved weekly in the Big Four so far this year.
He's not even a regular rotation piece anymore.
Hashtag the Iron Man.
I know.
He's
Mostly Iron Man.
You are the Cal Ripken Jr. of this podcast.
I am what I am.
Austin
just glad it's
decided to take a step back and, quote, become an infrequent guest rather than a rotational co-host.
Makes sense. He is a college grad.
Yeah, he has a real 9-to-5 job now.
Right.
So now it's my show.
Now it is officially Grayson's show.
That he
Thanks,
isn't
guys,
here
for coming
for
on.
every week.
Yeah, you know, when you're
Is this
CEO,
true?
you don't have to come to the
Yeah,
office.
you do what you want when you're popping, right?
Yeah, when you're the CEO, you don't have to come to the office.
He's got it. He's got it down. So a lot of stuff is happening, guys. A
Yeah,
lot of
sure.
stuff. A lot
We
of
got,
stuff. We are now in officially NBA kickoff has
NBA,
come and
oh,
gone.
is that what they do? They kick the ball into the stands. There you go. NBA season started, guys.
Fair. And then of course we all know the Major League Baseball is winding down. NHL is also kicked off. So
Also, you kick the puck into the stands to start the NHL season,
and football is rolling. So
and you roll the football across the field. He's on point today. He's doing really good.
Yeah, he's had a couple weeks off to prepare.
Yeah,
again, so
mid-season form.
we're just doing really well here. So I don't really know where we want to start off.
Here, why not start off with the fact that DC is looking at their first sports title in a month. Square in the face, they're up 2-0 on Houston going back to DC.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that that's probably the most shocking of all stories in sports right now.
I'd be hard pressed to, like I said in the group chat that, like I think Houston's favorites by like a margin, but I don't think it's like very substantial. But to see them down 0-2, like here's the thing: is like I don't, Houston's not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. If some team's going to come back from an 0-2 deficit to win a World Series, like it'd probably be them.
I agree with that.
You know, so for them, but still for them to be in this position in the manner that they are in too, because Verlander got annihilated in the 7th, right?
Yeah, I
He
mean,
spanked Cole, too.
Yeah, it was pretty ugly. I mean, bases were loaded. Verlander really worked himself into a jam, and then Ryan Presley came out and got even more thrashed. I mean, it was kind of hard to watch if you were a Houston fan.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it was, but
Nolan Ryan must have been so disappointed.
Well, it's unfamiliar territory for Houston in terms of I don't think they've ever had their backs against the wall like they are. Even when they lost to the Yankees in Game 1, they weren't. They took it lightly.
And the
yeah,
issue
I
is
mean,
now
they
you
came
have-
around and they won 4 in a row, right?
Yeah, they ended up winning
4-2.
the next 3, and then the Yankees won Game 5.
And now they have
So-
3 in a row at Washington.
Yeah, now they're
that's-
going back
that's
to the
terrifying.
Nationals.
That's
It's
why I've
terrifying.
never liked 2-3-2.
Really?
Yeah. I understand, you know, cut down on travel time, but if you do, if you slip up and lose one at home, you have 3 road games back to back to back. And even if you win 2 road games, it's easy to lose. If you win your 2 home games, it's easy to lose 3 in a row on the road, and then that team just has momentum of winning 3 games in a row.
Also, is anyone going to complain about an extra day of rest for travel because you get to see better pitchers pitch more often in a series?
Yeah. I mean, I've always preferred 2-2, 1-1-1.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do personally. But
Yeah, I don't even know when they started implementing, you know, the 2-3-2. At first, I never really had a problem with it, but now in terms of logistics and, like you said, having star pitchers pitch more, I can see, like, it makes sense to make the swap. I just think because baseball is such a traditionalist thing, like it's hard to make those kind of changes so quickly. But another thing that I found really interesting too is just like how slept on, I guess, Anthony Rendon has been, and like how clutch he's been in this series.
yeah, I was actually talking to Austin. We watched Game 1 at Kogan's on Tuesday.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Max Scherzer had actually a kind of rough outing.
He did.
It was very, very fraught with peril, if I wanted to be descriptive of it.
But it's also kind of been a common thing. Again, I said that he shouldn't have started Game 1 in the NLCS either. I thought that because he just, to me, the second half of the season when he came back from the injury, he just didn't have that same command stuff. And I was a big proponent of Strasburg as the best pitcher on the roster.
As of right now.
As of right now.
Possibly, yeah.
And back then, so when Strasburg came out and got beat up in the first, in the beginning of that game, I wasn't very shocked. I was kind of like, okay, but it's Mad Max, so you have to start
Yeah,
him.
I mean, he's not going to let you not start him.
He's your guy. He's the highest paid player on your team for a reason.
And I know you sort of gave me some flack for saying that there'd be like 26 teams or something in baseball that wouldn't want Anthony Rendon. Well,
I would say, yeah, but they're actually all 30 of them would want him if they could afford him.
yeah. My point was like, how many third basemen in baseball are better than Rendon? And the answer is maybe like 3 tops. I got as far as like Arenado, Bregman, and like maybe a healthy Jose Ramirez.
Yeah.
And that's probably it. Like I think that's the whole list.
2018 Jose Ramirez, something like that.
I mean, second half of this year, Jose Ramirez even.
Yeah, playing catch up basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a solid list.
I think that's probably about it.
That's a solid list, but I would also say that that I would put him ahead of Jose Ramirez too. I would definitely think he's a top 3 third baseman in the league.
He's incredibly good.
Right. But his emergence has been more felt in the postseason. Same thing with Juan Soto, and his also like not appearance, but his like reckoning, I guess. His awakening
This
this.
is his coming out party.
Right. And those two moving forward are the guys for that Washington team.
Absolutely.
They're the energy, and I hope that they can keep that core together, but I don't know, man. Anthony Rendon can go anywhere.
Hard to keep.
Exactly.
I think we also forgot about Matt Chapman when we were talking about third baseman.
Chappie's a very good
Chapman's a good defensive third baseman.
I mean, he had 36 home runs this year.
Yeah, but his average is pretty low. He hit about 250
He had
or so.
like 250.
Yeah,
But
believe me, I know what Chappie hit. I have him on my fantasy team.
That ballpark is also not the best in terms of hitting production. The fact that Chris Davis was able to hit so many home runs every year, aside from this past season, was astonishing in itself. So I do like Matt Chapman defensively. Offensively, I want to see more of like those Rendon singles, doubles, extra base hits, and less striking out. So.
It is going to be a fun atmosphere in DC.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
going to be unbelievable.
But here's the question, gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
The sports tax for winning this is probably going to be the name Brad Beal.
Bummer.
I'm just saying.
I mean, the answer is no because they extended him for 2 years, so
You could easily still trade him though. I mean, I'm just saying
he's not getting traded.
that sports tax is
He's not
going
getting
to be.
You know what the sports tax is going to be?
The sports tax is honestly
No, it's gonna
probably
be
Washington's
Yeah,
season.
it's going to
the
be
Redskins
Washington.
season.
Yeah,
to clarify.
the football team. Yeah. We already knew that. That was listen. If they're the team in DC that pays the sports tax for the rest of like
They're the sacrificial
I don't know,
lamb.
like the next 60 years, it'd be like whatever. They probably weren't doing anything anyway. Who cares?
Save Haskins. Save
Sure.
Williams.
I mean, at this point, you can't even save. I'm not even sure you could save Haskins.
Well, you got to play him. That's the thing. You just got to play him. They refuse to. Save Trey too.
fuck.
Save Trey. Save
Yeah,
Trey.
yeah. No, Terry McLaurin.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Save AP.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Save Terry and AP. Package them together. Ship them off to Philly. It'll be fine.
Yeah, you want to give me like 3 firsts for Terry McLaurin? I think he's literally right now probably the best receiver on your would be the best receiver.
You
on
know,
your
if we
team.
didn't want to give up that many firsts for Jalen Ramsey,
That's true.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. That also happened while we were away.
I think Howie must have slept in that day.
Yeah, I guess he must have just missed that period.
I'm actually
you know?
a little sorry that you guys missed out on Jalen Ramsey.
I am
not gonna
too.
lie.
So much for what did Khan came out and said we wouldn't take 5 first rounds for
Yeah, I
Ramsey.
bet.
Another thing too is that you guys could have had Marcus Peters.
Yep, could have had
true.
Minka.
Could have had Minka. Well,
Well,
I don't
that
know.
happens.
Strike 3.
I can't.
I was
I'm,
gonna say 3 players up, 3 players down.
Man.
No Eagles improvement.
what happened to the Eagles roster?
Dak
One
Prescott,
injuries.
baby.
Yeah. So here's
Have
the
you
thing, it's-
seen their 2019 injury?
It's pretty
report?
gross.
I know it's pretty bad. So it's like the problem with the Eagles going forward is they had one hole in your roster and it's secondary depth. You guys have Ronald Darby, who's been mildly underwhelming since he came from
Buffalo.
Yeah.
Sidney Jones, who has never really panned out to be what he was thought to be.
Yeah, I think Sidney Jones went to
out of
Washington.
Sidney
Yeah.
Jones was a Husky. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like that's it. Those are your 2 corners. You got Michael Jenkins back, which is sick,
You got McLeod.
We got Rodney McLeod and
and he's like fine. But,
Avonte Maddox. I think is injured right now.
Yeah,
but
Maddox
here's the
is
thing:
hurt.
is
Hey, guess who's back though?
who?
The Green Goblin.
Oh boy, would happen to be Jalen Mills, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's a stud player right there.
Yeah, everybody
But it-
should call the fire department because that guy's fitting to get burned.
Yeah. there
Everyone
you
should
go.
call the fire department because that guy's gonna drop babies.
Oh,
True.
boy.
So the problem with the Eagles is like as soon as Darby and Sidney Jones go down, you're like, wait a second, we have a problem.
Yep. And what has been able to cover it up in the past is they've been able to get pressure to the quarterback.
it's like your front
and
four
then
depth is
here you
unreal.
go. Fletcher Cox is like the only starter left on the defensive line.
that's not
Or, like
right.
on the
How much
tackle.
That Chris Long retirement is like mildly a huge deal.
And their linebackers. They have like all
can you
rookie
explain the
linebackers.
Zach Brown thing?
Yeah, he sucked.
Like, no, he's a decent linebacker. I'm honestly shocked that he can't find a new job.
It's because he might not actually be good anymore somehow.
I don't understand how you could go from having over 100
It
tackles.
happens, dude. It literally happens. Do you guys remember?
Call it the Kirk Cousins curse.
No. Fucking this wide receiver for the Giants just fell off the face of the earth. Is
Talking about Plexico?
no, Reuben Randall.
Oh, yeah.
He had John Boyce did a feature on him on Dorktown, and
I think
it
it was
was
an LSU product, right?
Yeah, he played with Beckham, I believe. And he fell off the face of the earth. He was 24, just had a really productive year, like one of the most productive years ever for a number 2 wide receiver, like number 1 level production, just completely vanished, gone. Can't find work anywhere.
I wonder if that has
It
to go
happens.
with something in.
Here's the thing. It's like it's just it's like no off the field issues with either of them. It's just nothing. It happens.
I guess that happened with Carlos Williams too. And I know I always harp on like Buffalo history, but like Carlos Williams was a fine third down back. Beautiful. Like he was big, strong, downhill runner. And he showed up to camp out of shape because his wife was pregnant. So he, would pregnancy eat with her. And Buffalo was just kind of like, all right, see ya. Like, so they ended up cutting him. I mean, it's like that. Like,
And it's just stuff happens, dude.
Right.
It's weird. You don't expect people to just fall off. Like you expect them to follow like a reasonable career arc, right? Where it's like, okay, well, Reuben Randall, maybe he's
coming
not,
out
like,
party, first year,
like
historic
I mean,
production.
like it is second or third year. Even then, it's like okay, he's like a legitimately good NFL wide receiver, like one of the best ones in the league now. He's like a top like 15 player at his position somehow.
Right.
Like how the fuck did that happen?
Exactly.
And then
and then he just.
yeah, like there's no continue, no plateau, no decline, just immediately gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting in hindsight to see how career paths can shape, in terms of just how, like, I don't know, life happens, and and it could just be the position you're in. It could be stuff off the field. It could be stuff in the locker room, but we never know, and you're never going to know the true story of what happened.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happens behind closed doors all the time.
But,
So that's if it happened with Zach Brown, that's unfortunate. But at least I'm not kicking myself for Washington keeping him in at least.
That's true. That's very true. Because I remember you guys let him walk.
Yeah, I know. Now it makes sense. If you can't
Right.
get work with the Eagles, who are probably give an arm and a leg for linebacker depth,
Let's
and you can't find work anywhere else, it's not a good look.
Yeah, let's transfer into the trades from this past week. We had some
boy.
pretty significant trades in wide receiver market. So you had the Niners acquiring Emmanuel Sanders, and you
Yeah.
had the Patriots acquiring Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, gentlemen, who wins out of the two? Like, which team benefits more from their acquisition?
It's a really good question. I actually don't know. I hadn't thought about it like that in like a head-to-head comparison like that. Although I guess those are maybe the two best teams in football right now.
Well, they are the last two undefeated teams.
Yeah, I feel reasonably safe calling them the two best teams, at least so far.
I think the Niners.
Really.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's look at the Niners, right? So you have a very, very talented running team.
Yeah, and a unbelievably good defensive team too.
They have a very good front on defense, obviously, and but if we reflect solely on the offense, their line is fine, but they're playing without McGlinchey, who's their starting right tackle. They're playing without Joe Staley, so that means that they're going to get better as well. And Tevin Coleman went out week 1, and they had great production from their backups.
Breida and that other guy whose name I can't remember.
And then you got like Mozart and Justin Wilson. So you just had like a bunch of different guys step up.
Yeah.
And now that Tevin Coleman's back, he still gets his feeds, but you also still have this committee. And then
Wow, platooning running backs. It's almost like it's the wave, guys.
well, it is for some teams that know how to do it.
Well, if you don't have like Christian McCaffrey or something, then you platoon your running back.
Right. However, but if you want to talk about, platooning, I mean, Washington tries to platoon, but they can never get it right.
Their offensive line. I don't want to talk about them.
But so sticking with the Niners, though, I mean, you have Marquise Goodwin, you had Dante Pettis, and you had Deebo Samuel, who are very, very talented receivers. I'm a big Marquise Goodwin guy, obviously, former Buffalo guy. And then I'm a huge Dante Pettis guy, coming from Boise. And then
That was Austin. Dante went to Washington.
you're right. You're absolutely right. Sorry about that. But same Chris Peterson guy, though.
Yeah, it's a Chris Peterson guy. Cousins with Austin.
And then So to add Emmanuel Sanders to that, he does help out Jimmy G, but in terms of what this team's identity has been so far, they're a run-first team. So it's nice to have Emmanuel, obviously. It's nice to have him complement. But in my opinion, I think Mohamed Sanu has a better impact on his team.
You think there's a quarterback controversy in New England now?
That's a good one. The reason I don't think Sanu has better impact is because Sanu isn't immediately the best receiver on
Who is the best
Patriots.
receiver?
It's Julian Edelman.
Well, okay, but Edelman has also been battling injury this year. Same thing, and obviously they will be without Josh Gordon the rest of the season.
Yeah, Gordon's on IR. There's speculation that he might get traded, which is pretty interesting.
Well, he said himself that I was going to make this the next thing that we transitioned into, but Josh Gordon himself says that he can play.
Yeah, this is why.
But the Patriots are IRing him to keep him out of the game.
We'll get to that. But the thing is, I think Sanders is immediately the best receiver on
Yes,
the Niners.
And I think that there's no debate there.
Yeah,
Is
not
that
really.
He's also the bigger name of the two. But I think Sanu. Sanu has also been victim of being behind two historically good wide receivers.
He's been like a 2-3 receiver basically his whole career.
But it's not his fault. It's because look, he
played behind AJ Green and Julio Jones. Yeah.
Exactly. So
listen, I love Mohamed Sanu. He's great. He's probably the best Rutgers player in the last I don't even know how many years.
And that also makes sense why Belichick loves him, because Belichick loves Rutgers players.
I love Shiano players.
Yeah.
And Shiano for some reason. I don't know. That's weird. But the nice thing about Sanu is that it gives them he's a big dude.
Oh yeah, he's totally huge. And he also gives McDaniels more creativity on the offense for his throwing ability as well. Should be pretty interesting though to see how both eventually do impact each team this week.
I think
Emmanuel Sanders has a bigger immediate impact.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Sanders too.
I mean, because it's not like either one of them makes you completely change your offensive format. Because I mean, you said how run first and how run successful San Francisco is, and they're both built on their defenses. They both have unbelievable defenses. But I think when you add Emmanuel Sanders just kind of into that mix, it's just who are you going to cover? And they still have George Kittle.
Yeah, they still have George Kittle. You're absolutely right. I mean,
and Disley.
Yeah, and they have Disley. The Niners are just low key good. They honestly came out of nowhere and jumped me to be
I expected them to be good. I didn't expect them to be this good.
Yeah,
and in the manner that they are good. It's Jimmy Garoppolo is a good quarterback. It's we're maybe the best. We're one of the best rushing teams in football because Kyle Shanahan is a god, and we have a very good defense. I'm okay.
Shanahan also doesn't like to run the ball in the Super Bowl, so let's. They didn't run the ball a single time in that 28-3. So
I don't blame them for that.
You're up 28-3. You should run the ball, run out the clock.
Yeah,
it's the Patriots. So let's go into this Patriots thing with Josh Gordon. As we earlier were talking about, it's a very peculiar situation.
Yeah, sure. We're gonna sit here and speculate about it for about 4 minutes and move on to another topic.
I just find it fascinating because it's where does he go?
I don't know. I saw New Orleans floated as a landing spot for him. I'm sure you can rehab with Des Bryant. You can figure out which one of them. You can have tryouts.
Well, I don't know, man. Josh is Josh, dude. To me,
listen, I love Josh Gordon, but the Flash Gordon of 2014, that guy might be gone.
Fair, but I still think that he can hold down a wide receivers core. There's no reason to believe he can't still play. If he himself says that he can play.
Here's my question, then why is New England not starting him? They'd kill for wide receiver depth right now.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
The problem.
We think Bill Belichick's just going to throw away a player like that for no reason?
I don't know. Maybe it's just something. Maybe it's something that they know. I have no idea.
He has some history of doing stuff like that, but I really don't think that's the case.
Maybe he just stepped out of line. I have no idea. It's probably one of the oddest storylines of this football season so far, I would say.
It's a very high bar, I guess. The Antonio Brown thing happened.
That doesn't count. What
do you mean that doesn't count? That was an ongoing saga for 4 months that resulted in him getting traded mid-season and now signing a new contract.
Did you see that he's now doing commentary on Twitter, on live Twitter?
Yeah, that's great.
I was dude, nobody wants to hear your analysis.
No.
You kind of fucked yourself.
Majorly fucked yourself. Congratulations, you're an idiot.
Right, basically.
It's a good thing you're going back to school. Hopefully they can teach you something.
That's the best part is I don't think that he is. I know that he is supposedly enrolled, but
anyway.
I don't know. Regardless, we don't stand AB.
No, we're done with that. That boat sailed.
But, all right. Is there any other football storylines you want to talk about? Anything? Any analysis coming up for this game tonight, or how the roles are reversed? Because the last time the Redskins played,
Washington's probably going to get fucked up.
Well, the last time Minnesota played Washington, the quarterbacks were
it was
reversed.
cute. They had Keenum was starting for the Vikings and Cousins was starting for Washington, and I don't even remember what happened.
I think that Minnesota ended up winning.
Yeah, probably. They were good that year. Washington was not particularly.
I mean, Washington was always a weird team when Kirk Cousins was leading the helm. Sure. But now you have Kirk Cousins, who's in charge of these 4-2 Minnesota Vikings. Very interesting how their season's gone in terms of how 3 weeks ago you had Kirk Cousins kind of apologizing to Adam Thielen and apologizing to the fan base, and now he's on this MVP run, doing historic production the last 3 games.
Yeah, they turned into the play-action fever dream that Robert Mays wanted them to be at the start of the year, where they're taking deep shots on 2nd and 8 out of like 13 personnel, and people were like, what the actual ever-loving fuck is 13 personnel? And it's 1 wide receiver, 1 running back, 3 tight ends.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it from all aspects. I mean, that's their identity. That's the way that they should be running this offense, like a Madden style, where it's like you have so much depth. You have a Kyle Rudolph on your. You have it just makes sense to me that they should be running these.
That might be 3 running backs. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. I don't know what 13 personnel is, but.
Well,
listen, that's okay. You can just cut.
I'm just saying, you got these halfback fades in with Dalvin and can catch the ball.
You do what you want with Dalvin Cook because he's a beast, and you go.
But then you have Steph and Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Like it just there's too much talent on that team to be a 500 team. And the fact that Kirk has been able to step up these past 3 weeks against decent teams, against good teams. I mean, the Giants are the Giants, obviously, but they desolated the wasn't it Detroit, and it was Philly. Yeah. So 2, in my opinion, playoff caliber, although Detroit did just trade Quandre Diggs, so they're probably out moving forward. But at the time, that was pretty whack.
They've had a bizarre year.
Pretty whack.
They've had a very weird year. Yeah. By the way, Washington put up like 25 on Philly, so it kind of says all you need to know about them.
Let's transition now into basketball.
Oh, boy.
Because we do love ourselves some basketball. And I know Grayson himself has a huge take for Thunder fans out there.
Austin's workmate would say that Grayson is smitten right now.
It's just weird. I was watching the game last night, and it was weird. It was like one of the weirdest experiences I've had watching a Thunder game in a while.
Why? What made it so weird?
Because it's like... They've had a certain identity for like the past 10 years.
Would it be connected to someone that wears 0 and currently plays for the Houston Rockets?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I
know. Russ is your favorite basketball player, right?
No, Steven Adams is my favorite basketball player.
Wow, okay.
He was my favorite basketball player last year.
Okay.
Russ is just Russ.
That's fair.
But it was weird. And Ricky told me that I was going to love SGA, and
I tried to make that abundantly clear.
So far, I really like SGA.
He's V good.
Chris Paul is there.
Yeah, what's it like watching like an actual real point guard play basketball?
Well, it was weird because a lot of what I watched yesterday, like Chris Paul, he shot a lot, and he would like take a lot of shots at the dribble and like drive. Like obviously he would pass because it's Chris Paul, but he still played a lot of iso ball.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of his game, actually. So one of my questions was, did Billy Donovan, he apparently ran a motion offense when he was at Florida. Did you see a lot more movement than you saw with Russ?
Not effective movement.
Okay.
No, but movement in general.
Yeah, but are you used to Russ like dribbling the fuck out of the ball in the half court and then, sprinting up and down the floor in transition?
Yeah, there wasn't really as much transition play with them, but once they got into the half court set, whether it be Paul or Schroeder, they both dribbled the ball a lot.
Yeah, that's not surprising. It's unfortunate.
And then down the stretch, SGA was just stuck in the corner the whole time. I'm like, what are you doing?
It's like, let's move it around here.
Free my boy.
Yeah, it's weird. In terms of what he ran at Florida, and compared to what he runs in the NBA, they're drastically different in terms of stagnant position.
I'm here to embrace the tank. I expect them to get blown out by like 30 last night, but they want to mess around and hold the lead in the fourth quarter. What am I supposed to do?
Again, I tried to tell you, they're this they're this like Washington Redskins model where it's like they're trying to win on the surface, but reality, the GM's just in the background like, let's keep losing. Like Sam Presti's just like, yes, we don't need this.
No, Sam Presti should be reading How to Draft for Dummies.
I don't think Presti's like that.
You think so?
Presti's also, I think, drafts reasonably well. That's my hot take. Is I think Presti gets a lot of unnecessary flack as a GM.
I think he's had some stinkers in the past.
No.
few
You know what
years.
my problem with Presti is? He sucks in free agency.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got one of the hardest sells, I think, in the NBA. Oklahoma City compared to like a Miami and Orlando, even Atlanta.
His drafting has been pretty okay. It's everything else that's really, really brought Presti down as a GM. That's my opinion. But I don't want to sit here and talk about Sam Presti. I want to sit here and talk about SGA.
Love my boy.
And the fact that
there's a lot of really high
you're gonna lead this
potential there.
team.
I mean, I think he's. You can make a reasonable case for him being the third best player on that team right now.
Behind.
I mean, he came out and scored
Chris
26.
Paul and who else?
You could argue that Steven Adams is better than him, and Steven Adams is at his best.
It's a lot of money tied up in those two.
I'd be okay with that. I think there's a good chance.
I hope Steven Adams takes a huge step this year.
SGA could finish the season as your best player
Oh, absolutely.
with Chris Paul still on the roster.
I just
love nicknames and initials.
Yeah, it's nice.
I mean, you can arguably give one to like every person in the league, even if he's calling by their first name. But
CP.
SGA.
CP3,
Yeah.
dude.
I mean, I guess Steven Adams is just Steven Adams, but Russ,
SA.
CP.
I don't know, man. If it was me, I would be embracing the tank just because I want draft picks, and I wouldn't be talking about this team right now as anything more than a stepping stone moving forward, because that team's long-term plan should not involve Chris Paul, should not involve, honestly, arguably could not involve Steven Adams either. Like, that's just me from the outside looking in. You're obviously a fan. But like, I just don't understand. Like, I understand trying to be optimistic and trying to find the gold in this, but
I mean, there is no goal this year.
The West is just so crazy.
They have no business trying to win anything this year.
Right. And that's the thing, is just like Ricky's really big on Presti's drafting. It's like that should be
No,
the
I
goal.
don't. I'm not really big on Presti's
I'm not
drafting.
big on
I'm
Presti's
just
But that's your hot take.
no. I'm saying that he's not as bad a drafter as people make him out to be.
I mean, it's not his fault. The draft
that's a
positioning in the
difference.
pool.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. That's literally what I'm saying. Is that given what he's had to deal with, I'd say he's done a pretty all right job.
But then again, the fact that like Terrence Ferguson's the best draft pick they've had in the last.
Jeremy Grant is literally he was literally the best free agent signing over the offseason, probably.
I was going to say he's not even on their team
Yeah, I mean,
anymore.
they drafted Adams in 13, and then Presti is really fond on athletic forwards who can't shoot.
I don't know. It's like we look at Andre Roberson.
Remember Perry Jones
We talk about
Andre Roberson like he's not a player.
at
Andre-
Baylor?
Baylor, baby. Baylor basketball. They never translate.
Andre
over.
Roberson, he's still there.
He's a good player.
He's a fantastic.
Andre Roberson's a good
Before
basketball
he injured
player.
his player, he was probably one of the
defensive
best
player.
on-ball
Yes,
defenders in the league.
Definitely one of their top two defensive players on the team.
He's the top one.
Before he got injured, he was like top in the league, I think. Like on-ball, being able to
Roberson,
lock.
the list of wing defenders better than Andre Roberson at his best is really short.
Yeah.
Probably like
It's
Kawhi.
literally
and
like
someone else.
Kawhi Leonard and maybe Klay Thompson.
Maybe Klay,
And then that's probably the whole list.
Oh my goodness! But
But
even
that's what I'm
so-
saying. It's
It
like
was unfortunate that he couldn't come back last year.
I don't know.
Or so far this year.
I understand Presti bashing, but don't draft him don't bash him as a drafter.
No, I don't hate Presti. I mean, he's flipped cards to put championship-winning teams in Oklahoma City.
Definitely. And the problem is it's just, things don't work out. But I always have been a big Sam Presti guy in terms of like the fact that he's been able to make something out of nothing. Like, yes, obviously he's traded away good players and he's traded to get good players in, but it's like, dude, he works with what he's given. I just think now's the time where it's like, since you have no assets left, you're going to pay Chris Paul this season, but if you can finish off the season with a top 10, top 5 pick, like you're golden.
Yeah,
You're
I
golden.
mean, I agree with you.
And that's just my take
This
on
is just
OKC,
a different chapter. They're not close
Can
to
I-
being a contender right now.
Can we also talk about just like how I'm sitting there on Monday night before tip off which is on Tuesday. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm trying to do these like preseason rankings. I'm trying to do like a preseason playoff predict. And I could do the East pretty easily. But
yeah, then you get to the West.
then I get to the West, and I'm like, and I'm looking at all the people on Twitter that have done these, and I'm like some of them have Houston up at as high as 3, and then other ones have Houston as low as 7, sometimes at 8, and I'm like, I can't even argue with any of those analysis. Like I can't argue with them.
You know what the problem with the West is? There's 4 teams that could win you could argue 5 teams that win a 1 seed.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you have
like, okay.
Denver, Utah, LA, and Houston. So like that in itself is so hard.
Yeah, and then you look at like there's like
try to predict
4 or 5 other teams that you're like, all right, these teams are basically making the playoffs. Where it's like, Portland's making the playoffs. The Warriors are probably making the playoffs. Spurs are making the playoffs. Wait a second, that's the whole field, and we still haven't gotten to the Mavericks. We haven't gotten to the Pelicans, who look like they might fuck around and mess everyone up this year when Zion's back.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got 2 months.
The Kings, and it's like, wait, we're at like a bajillion teams now. We're only missing like 3 teams in the West.
Right, it's like Minnesota, Phoenix, and Memphis are like the only teams that I really don't see making the playoffs.
No, I'd be appalled if those teams made the playoffs.
But if they did, if Minnesota specifically
might
it would
fuck around.
Because of like taking like major steps forward.
Minnesota might fuck around and trade Andrew Wiggins for Chris Paul.
That's fine.
That'd be funny.
That'd be hilarious, but it'd also be fine.
Andrew Wiggins has killed the Thunder in the past.
But yeah, you want to see him out of Minnesota. I don't have to play against that guy anymore. It's a real big plus for us going forward. I don't know, but it's hard to like make any trade because if you're.
Did you see that Andrew Wiggins was upset that he wasn't on the top 100 players?
Ain't that a fucking bummer,
He
my
said,
guy.
and I quote, he said, like, ain't no way in hell that 100 players are better than me. I said, yeah, this is a pretty accurate.
It's funny.
Take.
I know. There's Twitter's been talking about it today, and Bomani Jones said some interesting thoughts about it. But it's like it's weird that he's a bust, but he averages like 20 points per game for his career. It's just fucking weird.
And we talk about this all the time though, about like how we give college athletes such comparisons and such labels that are so unfair.
Yeah. Do you know what his nickname coming out of high school in Canada was? Maple Jordan. That's what they called him. Was Maple Jordan.
And that's it's such an unfair shoes to fill for this kid coming out of Kansas. Like
you can't be doing that to kids. Come on now.
And I mean, personally, I always felt that Jabari Parker was better than him, but it was between those two. They were the next best thing in basketball, and they both really haven't panned out to be to their all-pro caliber or all-pro expectations.
Both of them aren't even the best player in that draft. If Joel Embiid doesn't have questions about his foot, then he's a clear number 1, and we're not even talking about this.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. That's also fair, but it's like JoJo himself needs to step up. He's going to step up too. I'm kind of putting a lot of eggs into the basket of like JoJo being this all-pro moving forward and Ben helping that development as well. I've been pretty vocal about how I think the Sixers are the best team in the East.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not fair. Maybe I'm not giving enough credit to Milwaukee, but that's not my intention. My intention is just to say, like, hey, I believe that the Sixers are the favorite to win the East, and they shouldn't have a problem until the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I think that's reasonably fair.
That was a better phrasing than I guess I used
absolutely,
on Twitter.
Because you just make it look like they're just going to coast all the way to the finals.
Said, quote, they have an easy walk to the finals.
I'm just saying.
And I'm just like, Jesus, did the Bucks not do anything for you?
Well, it's like an easy walk to the finals for me is like you can breeze through the first 2 rounds, and then in the conference final, obviously, like I could see that be like a 7-game series. But what I was telling Grayson earlier is just like, obviously Giannis can Euro step past like Josh Richardson and Tobias Harris, but it's like then you have to deal with JoJo or Al Horford in the middle, and it's like it's just not easy for him to coast.
No, it's not. That's why that's the biggest.
That team is just scary long, and like don't get me wrong, the weakest point of that team, aside from like Ben Simmons' offensive questions, is Brett Brown. Because Brett Brown, to me, hasn't really proven himself as a coach.
He hasn't been a particularly great coach over the course of his tenure in Philly.
Right. So it's like, if this year is going to be the big year for whether or not he is the weak point moving forward. And I honestly think that is the case. But he himself, I'm sure, is aware that the fire is under his ass. So, especially for Philly. Because, like, the sports tax for Philly is that now the Eagles aren't that good. But now it's like, you have the Sixers have high expectations, and with the Phillies,
with the Phillies hiring Girardi,
right? Which
it's kind of like
we'll get back. We'll
it
circle back.
It was really funny because like when the MLB season started, everyone was hiring the Phillies. Like they had World Series aspirations.
That was fucking
with that
weird.
Ramuto trade,
and even with McCutcheon's injury, like they a playoff team with McCutcheon. Yes, are they a World Series team with McCutcheon? No, their bullpen is awful.
I did think that they were a wild card player with him.
When that kind of train started to fall off the tracks, they're like, Good thing we got football coming, baby. Eagles, Super Bowl.
Wentz, baby, Wentz.
Now the Eagles are doing their thing. They're like, good thing we got basketball coming, baby. Let's go Sixers.
Philly is such a great city in the fact that they're actually more blindly optimistic than New York fans at times, where it's like, because I will give New York fans this. Nobody expected the Jets or the Giants to be anything. Well, it's like, and they don't have any hopes for NHL season this year either. So it's
They shouldn't.
No, they shouldn't, because the Rangers are rebuilding and the Islanders have Barry Trotz, and that's pretty much it. So, or Barry Stotts.
No, it's Trotz.
Is it Trotz? No.
Yes, it's Trotz.
So I'm thinking of Terry Stotts
Terry
from
Stotts.
Portland.
Also, somehow the Islanders made the playoffs last year and were like
true.
good, and you're like, well,
that's
no one cares.
That's the Barry difference.
Yeah,
And they swept the Pens.
Yeah, I'm aware. Okay, moving forward. Okay, all right, let's move on. So
that's why he thinks they're not very good. I forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate you enlightening
I
me on
never
that
forget
one.
a Penguin sweep.
let's
I don't blame
go.
you.
Let's go.
You're a Sabres fan now. Embrace
I'm
it.
not okay. So let's clarify this, right? So I am a Buffalo guy, and I do have a soft spot for the Sabres, and I do like a lot of Sabres tweets because a lot of journalists from Buffalo that I follow post about the Sabres because they're all under the Pagula umbrella, and I am indeed a Pagula boy. But to say that I'm out completely on Pittsburgh is wrong. Like, I'm still a Sydney guy. I like Sydney a lot. I like Evgeny Malkin a lot. I like
You'd be doing your personal brand a favor
Murray.
by getting out on the Penguins.
maybe I mean, I'm one of those guys where it's like I'm gonna wait until my guys are gone. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
like I did that with when I was potentially going to leave Miami. I was like waiting until Dwayne Wade left to see what the team would do, and I wasn't impressed at all, really, with the way that I thought they were going to go. And then this offseason happened, and now I'm all back in. 'Cause
Where
I
would you
love
go?
Tyler Hero, and I love Jimmy Butler.
Where would you go from Miami?
I probably would have gone up to like. Well, okay, so where I'm from in New York, we get a lot of Toronto games, and we get a lot of Nets games, we get a lot of Knicks games. So it probably would have been one of those three teams. Or I would have jumped the Luka bandwagon and just been a full-time Mavericks fan.
I don't know, that probably would have been the better one for you. Although I don't know how I'd feel about supporting Porzingis.
I don't know, man. I don't have a problem with Porzingis, and he actually looked pretty good.
No, Porzingis is fine. Just the rape allegations going around and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Part's kind of sketch.
Did you see the fight video?
Yeah.
No.
Pretty scary.
He ripped his shirt.
Yeah, he's a pretty scary guy. I would never want to piss him off. So yeah, one of those, but one of those three teams definitely would have been in consideration had I decided to leave. But I'm glad that I stayed. I'm glad that Pat Riley and Mickey made these right moves, and Miami's looking really good though. Tyler Hero,
sometimes I
Justice Winslow.
Sometimes
Jimmy
I
Butler,
forget
obviously.
you're a Penguins fan until I actually sit down and think about it. Well, you come in with that like
My jerseys.
that Lemieux guy.
Oh yeah, that
Lemieux
Lemieux.
jersey?
Lemieux, yeah.
Lemieux guy. I mean, he was okay. You know, he's probably the best hockey player of all time, but whatever.
Jake's sports fandom is the most offensive thing I've seen in my entire life.
I wouldn't say it's the most offensive thing.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, you weren't there in New York. We met Austin. I wish Austin was here, but of course he's not.
Oh yeah,
there was this guy.
Yeah.
There was this
He was wearing a
fucking
Yankees
there was
hat and
this
a Dodgers
There was
jersey.
this fucking Gavone. No. This guy was even worse.
What?
There was this Gavone, and he was like this big guy, and he like because for some reason in this conference, all 40 of us in this room went around and said our sports
Yeah. Oh,
teams.
right,
It was terrifying.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah.
So we get over to this one guy, and he was by far the most hated guy in the room. And he said it. He's like, I'm the most hated guy in the room. And I was like, oh God, this is gonna be great. And he's like, my favorite teams are the Golden State Warriors, the New England Patriots, he said like the Washington Capitals, and then he said like
The fucking Yankees, right?
yes, he actually did. He was a Yankee
Yeah,
fan, and I was
course.
like, "Fuck this guy!" Like I said it. I voiced it immediately. I was like, the second he said Golden State and New England, I was like, "Fuck this guy!" And then like everyone was kind of trying to move forward because it was like, dude, like how can you sit there and like those teams? It's like there's no way in hell you decided on all these four teams like 5 years ago. There's no way. Like before Andre Iguodala signed with Golden State, there's no way you were a Golden State fan. No way in hell. And because he was like from some college and like on the East Coast. So I was like, there's just no way unless like you met Steven Jackson or Baron Davis one time in your life. Like there's no fucking way. That guy's definitely the most toxic sports fan I've ever met in my life. And he admitted that he's a bandwagon jumper. And I was like, I don't really care about that shit as much as I used to when I was like way younger.
Wow, look at you maturing.
But it's like, but at the same time, it's like, fuck off. Like, fuck this guy.
That's how I feel about you.
How?
What the fuck do you mean how?
How?
Duke basketball, Notre Dame football,
What's
the
wrong with
Yankees,
those?
and the Penguins. I think, am I missing one?
Heat in Buffalo.
I don't really give a fuck about Buffalo. The Heat one's whatever because he stuck it out. Yeah, it's basically those four, but I don't understand how you like Notre Dame football and Duke basketball and the Yankees.
My father. Well, first of all, I'm from upstate, and
That
I spent
sounded so
summers
New York.
watching Yes Network.
Yankees, that's fine. You're from New York. I'll pass. I'm like, whatever, cool.
My dad went to Notre Dame High School, and as a result, they watch Notre Dame football every weekend.
Okay.
Because Notre Dame football has been on cable TV forever because of NBC. And then Duke basketball was my grandfather, who was a huge Shane Battier guy. Loved Coach K, and when he passed away, he gave me his 01 Duke National Championship hat. I mean, I have specific reasons, but I also respect the programs.
Yeah, no, it's
Granted, I haven't been alive for a dominant Notre Dame team, but at the same time, like,
good chance he won't
I
be.
like Notre Dame. I do. I like Notre Dame in terms of like I've been to a Notre Dame game in South Bend. It's a fucking. It's
I imagine that's an experience. And a half.
it is a very, very fun time to watch, to see Touchdown Jesus
Also,
and shit.
the fucking Penguins.
Penguins, I've told everybody this story. I mean, the 09 Stanley Cup, my brother's a Red Wings fan, no idea why, talking all this shit about how they're going to win the thing. And I was like, okay, forget this. I'm going to be a Penguins fan and we're going to win. And they ended up winning. So I stuck with them the rest of the time. I started watching Sidney Crosby and Malkin play. And at the time, Marc-Andre Fleury was like one of my favorite players. Same thing with my guy at the time, Phil Kessel, who turned out to be a total asshole.
Fuck, I hate him so much.
Right.
It's a good thing he's got exiled, right? He's in Arizona now.
Yeah, he's gone now, thank God. And yeah, dude. And then Chris Letang. I've always been a big Chris Letang guy. So it was just those core players, and moving forward was that. I guess you can call it toxic, but I have reasons for everything.
Why can't my weird sports connections pan out like that?
Fuck you, Jake.
I mean, there's no guarantee I'll be a Penguins fan in the next 10 years.
You fucking better not be.
I mean, I have really
Not a big
weird
hockey guy
connections
anyway,
to
but-
my favorite sports teams, but it hasn't done anything for me.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Gave me a Super Bowl, and that's kind of cool.
You almost
Must
had a
be
Stanley
fucking
Cup.
nice, bud.
But it gave me a Stanley Cup loss. It gave me an NBA Finals loss.
Fucking must be fucking nice. I wish I ever got to see championship games.
You got Boston.
Yeah, there you go. You got the Celtics eventually.
Fucking whatever.
If Jason
I'm not-
Tatum
I'm
takes
not-
some
I'm
steps.
I'm not even a fucking Celtics fan.
You
Come
got the
on.
Red Sox.
I'm not even a Red Sox
You're right.
fan.
No,
like
no.
that
Ricky
either.
is now a reformed Celtics fan. He's now a New Orleans Pelicans fan.
It's true. I'm a Pels fan. This is what I. This
He's a
is-
David
this-
Griffin fan.
This is part of the reason that I don't get nice things.
You got Dave Griffin, dude. Griffin has an idea. He has a next 5-year plan.
Yeah, he also has the best college prospect since Anthony Davis.
I don't know. I like Zion a lot, but that's a huge ceiling for that kid.
No, he's just the best college prospect since Anthony Davis.
He's
That's it.
definitely-
He's not better than. I don't think he was a better prospect than Anthony Davis.
He's definitely brought a lot more eyes to the college basketball realm than anyone since, I guess, Anthony Davis. Or maybe Ben. I mean, Ben Simmons brought eyes to LSU basketball for the first time since, like, Shaq.
Yeah.
So,
The nice thing about the Pelicans that I did notice is they ran a really weird lineup to
Yeah.
start the game.
They did.
They ran 3 guards, Brandon Ingram at the 4 and Derek Favors at the 5. And I was like, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be the lineup that they run with Zion to close games.
Yep.
With Zion instead of Derek Favors.
Yep.
And I was like, good on you guys. You did it. You figured it out.
Alvin Gentry.
It took you 0 games. I'm very proud.
Alvin Gentry knew what he was getting when they drafted Zion, for
Yeah.
sure. But let's go into this manager thing, and then we'll wrap up. Because I imagine Grayson doesn't really want to talk about hockey, just because the Sharks are the Sharks.
What do you mean? You want to talk about the Senators? They beat the Sharks, right?
No, they haven't played yet.
Oh, is it tonight?
No, they don't. When do they play?
I thought you said they played soon. I remember asking you about this. Did you lie to me?
No, the ESPN said it was like they were like highlighting like the foreseeable future.
Did I stroke out really fucking hard and
No,
just
no, no.
hallucinate something?
I didn't think that they were playing for a while.
Stand by.
Okay.
But
Anyway, so
No, they play on Sunday.
they play on
Sunday.
Sunday?
They play on
Okay,
Sunday.
okay.
So see,
Nice.
it was part of the week.
Nice.
Nice. I'll be busy that weekend. But
So we had 2 manager signings for baseball so far.
no, actually, so
Did
you
the third one get snuck
have
in while I wasn't looking?
so you have the Cubs have their new manager.
Yeah, the Cubs have new manager and the Phillies got the new
Phillies
manager.
got their new manager,
Padres.
and the Padres got.
Oh,
their
who
new
did the
manager.
Padres hire?
So not a sexy name. They hired like the.
I mean, it is a sexy name.
It is yeah. In literal name, it's sexy, but in terms of like prestige,
Yeah.
it's not a very prestigious signing.
Would I recognize them?
Probably
Probably
not. He's
not.
like the hitting coach. He was the hitting.
No,
coach
he was
in-
like the player
Texas.
personnel coach or
Yeah,
something.
like-
His name is Jace Tingler.
Yeah, Jace Tingler is his name.
Oh,
he is
I actually
now
recognize that.
the new
you?
Yes,
manager
because
of the Padres.
what you put into the group chat.
Yes.
No,
Because I made a name. Well,
Yes.
someone made a name joke and I sent it to him.
I have context now. So
Yeah, Tingler is an interesting signing.
He was the Rangers Major League Player Development Field Coordinator.
nice.
It sounds like a made-up title for some guy's son.
That is a text chain generated title that they give to someone so that they can put them on payroll. Jake's
Yeah.
exactly right.
That's what I'm saying. Like that is a total nepotism kind of hire.
no, I mean
That's like when you're trying to like make your resume and you're like, how can I make my job sound professional?
Yeah,
so like
yeah.
Instead
when
of
you're
being
a
a bench
cashier,
coach,
no,
he's
I'm a
actually-
front of the house associate. No, he's
I'm the representative of the
Exactly.
company.
host front of the house associate. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. From
That
that,
was a resume
perspective,
builder.
way to boost up the resume. Way to really Indeed.com assistance. Not too many insights on that hire per se. I did think that Buck Showalter should have been the hire just because they had the connection with Manny, and I know Manny was like actually optimistic on the perspective of that hiring, but instead you get this guy, new name, who knows? Maybe he does more baseball acumen than we're giving him credit for.
He probably does.
He probably
I'm gonna give
does.
him the
I mean, he
benefit of the
does.
doubt.
He did get the fucking job.
And that's the
so.
reason they hired him.
I trust AJ Peller. I trust him in a lot of decisions he makes, despite some of them not working out. Cough, cough, Kemp, cough, cough, Kimbrel.
One bad year, guys.
Exactly. No, that's exactly what I was going to get into. Is how one bad year doesn't really exempt anything moving forward. So,
So you want to start with the Phillies or the Cubs?
let's go into the Cubs because that was the
Okay.
that was the more interesting.
I found that
hiring.
really interesting because
Right.
they hired David Ross as their new manager.
Yes,
and
David
he
Ross is the new guy in Chicago.
famously
and
was with them when they won the World Series in 16.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his in terms of commentary since he
He's
joined
been a very
the
good
booth.
commentator, actually.
Yeah. When I saw the pictures of him and Epstein like walking the streets of Chicago like with coffee and stuff, I was kind of like, okay, it's over. Like he's probably going to be the next thing.
Yeah.
I know I called the Chicago connection for Girardi, and he
Yeah.
was the last candidate. It was down to those two.
That's not surprising.
So, so the bro, I'm right comment kind of was, but was overall, I think that there are a lot of pieces from that World Series team in Chicago that are still
Yeah.
in house.
Chris Bryant might not be there, though.
It's true. He might get traded, but you still have Rizzo. You still have Lester. You still have you still have. I believe Cole Hamels was on that team, no, or was he?
Probably.
So I mean, you
Yeah,
have
Schwarber still, too.
you have Schwarber and you have Ian Happ, who I think might have been up there, and I think
Guys, we're forgetting some.
I think Javi
this
Baez
dude
was
who
still
plays
on
second
there.
base. He's really fucking
the cover of the
MLB
show.
20, Javi Baez.
So I think that that's a good hire. Probably the second best hire of the three for sure. And then obviously number one hire of the day is.
For you, it'd be Joe Girardi. I don't know how much of that
Joe
is
Girardi.
bias and also how much of that is just me not knowing baseball that much.
I think it's no. There's no bias actually. It's more because
That's literally a lie.
no. I swear to God, there's no bias for me in terms of Joe Girardi. I think that Joe Girardi is the best hire of the three that were hired today, given that he offers something that Gabe Kapler didn't have, and that is just
To be managerially experienced.
an aptitude.
Wow. You're just really just aiming for heads, huh?
It's not necessarily. I like Kapler. I did. But just the way that he managed the Phillies bullpen and the way that it didn't seem like he conferred a lot with Ramuto. It didn't seem like he conferred a lot with his play, like with his captains. It just seemed to me like he was a placeholder for somebody better. And I think Girardi is going to go into that locker room and really command the respect. And whether or not that has to do with the fact that he has a World Series ring is irrelevant.
All
I
right.
think
So with McCutcheon coming back, you have the Phillies penciled in for the World Series next year.
not at all. But I
Okay.
do think that they are a playoff contender next year. I think Grayson and I were talking about this earlier. They're a bullpen. They're a couple bullpen pieces away from being a reputable team. Their bullpen was in shambles this year. Like their bullpen was god awful. So, like you're gonna get David Robertson coming back. You're gonna have Hector Neris, who I believe should probably be the closer moving forward. Then you're going to have Jake Arrieta coming off injury. You're going to have Aaron Nola also coming off injury. So you have an interesting team. Obviously, they could use an extra starter. Obviously, they could maybe use an upgrade at third base. Whether that's Rendon or not could be coming to play, or they could trade for Chris Bryant.
I think maybe he's an outfielder too.
You think so? I mean, they're going to have...
Like obviously Cutch and Harper, but
because Odubel Herrera is probably not going to play in the major leagues anymore, and
Yeah, probably not. I'd be
And
surprised.
they have like what, Hasley?
then they have Adam Hazley, who they like in center field. I don't like at all.
Exactly.
I think that he's got that like Dansby Swanson thing where he has a lot of hype. Was their he was in their top 3 prospects pool. He's just got to hit the ball.
No,
That's
but
the thing.
guys, Rhys Hoskins can play outfield.
It's true. Reese can play outfield.
He cannot.
He could play left field. No. But they also have Jay Bruce on the bench too.
Don't do that to him.
I don't know. I saw Reese in person. Huge gentleman. Very big gentleman. They could make a trade for Starling Marte. They could try to do different things. Who knows? But I do think that hiring Girardi is the right step moving forward. This leaves 4 jobs left, which we ran through off air. It was Kansas City, San Francisco, New York Mets, and Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yep.
And my question to you two is, which job do you want and why? Would you want and why?
We actually talked about this earlier. I think there's 2 that you look at, and if I want one, it's probably the Giants job.
The Giants job. Okay. And for what reason?
Well, for one, climate. Either New York or San
course.
Francisco. San Francisco has nice weather.
Temperate
I can see
all
a
the
couple
way
Sharks
through.
games. Make that relationship. And both teams were in it this year. Like we talking about, they were wild card teams until they kind of trailed off towards the end.
Right, they phased
But
out.
when you look at the Mets situation, they have a good roster, but they need a lot of bullpen help. You don't know what they want to blow it up or not, because not only is it a really tough division, the NL East, they're still the 4th best team in that division. In the NL wild card, with how many good teams are in the Central, and it's just, I think you'd have more immediate success with San Francisco. And then I think you also have more of a patient kind of fan base because they have the World Series. They kind of know what position they're in. With New York, you've just been kind of teasing New York the entire time.
Yeah, that's the classic. That's the Mets move.
So I think the San Francisco is a much more low risk job, and I think the positions are similar, and it's a better climate.
What do you think?
I think it's the Mets.
Really?
Yes.
Is it?
I
okay.
think you have a more established framework than you do with San Francisco right now.
In terms of a starting rotation, absolutely.
In the starting rotation, you also have the best hitting rookie in the history of baseball, and Pete Alonso, ?
Which we talked about him earlier.
And let's see who else. They have Michael Conforto. It's pretty good.
If you don't say Jeff McNeil, I'm gonna hit you.
McNeil's good. The problem is, so it's like
I like Jeff a lot.
I know it's hard for me because I'm not like a super big baseball guy, right?
But I'm a big
like,
Jeff McNeil
The Nets
guy.
have a lot of framework. They still have Edwin Diaz.
The Nets.
What does that mean?
The Mets. Sorry.
What does that mean, though?
What?
Edwin Diaz.
Diaz.
Edwin Luz Diaz.
So he had a bad year.
He did
Whatever.
have a very bad year.
He was great in Seattle, and so here's the thing: it's like
But you have
they a lot of
Cano in the
framework.
locker room.
and you have things to work with too. When you're in a big market, not that San Francisco is in a big market, but at the same time, it's like the biggest thing for them that I think benefits them over like the Giants is you don't have to play the Dodgers. You don't have to compete for them. So it's like if I'm the Giants, my bar for making the playoffs is immediately I have to get in the wild card because I'm not going to push like 105 wins every year because that's what you have to do for the Dodgers.
Right.
Whereas in the NL East, you're not going to be murdering each other the entire time, right?
It's a bloodbath.
It's like the Braves are a good team, but at the same time, it's like, how many wins do you guys get this year? 96?
96 or 97.
Yeah, so it's like that number might go down to like 93, 92, not because you guys are getting worse, but just because it's like the Nats are going to be good next year again.
And you more
as
than
long as they
likely are
lose
going to
anyone.
lose Donaldson.
The Phillies are probably going to
the
be better
Phillies.
next
I
year.
mean, the Phillies are going to get better. And I just
So
don't. I actually think the Mets are so much farther. Even if those 3 teams beat up on each other, I don't think the Mets are going to beat them.
Well, no, but the problem is that like if I'm the Mets, what I have to do to get into playoffs is I can feasibly, if I make enough like reasonable improvements to my team, I could compete for the division lead.
Yes, you absolutely can.
That's the thing.
Because the Mets were only 4 games out of the wild card going into the last week of the season, and even with that, they only ended off the season with plus 85 wins. So they finished less than 15 wins behind. I don't know how many games back, but I guarantee it was less than 10 games back of Atlanta. So I can see what both of you guys are saying, but you also have to establish your identity with your squad in terms of like what are the goals moving forward.
Cool. My goal is I'm going to pitch the fuck out of the ball.
Listen, Linda, listen. You have to. Obviously, you have a triple-headed monster right? So you have DeGrom, obviously, who should probably win the Cy Young this year. Then you have Syndergaard and Stroman.
Yeah.
But you're more than likely going to lose Zach Wheeler.
Yeah, which is going to be a bummer, but it's what it is.
But you have Steven Matz waiting, and then you have, like, I don't know, Seth Lugo or Ross Gesselman or somebody like that stepping up for a number 5 starter, because their 5th starter is your 5th starter. And they're about as interchangeable as, like, I don't know, some car piece. It doesn't matter. So, and then in terms of the Giants, like, while I agree with you that the Giants don't have a lot, like, in terms of competition in their division, I also kind of disagree with that because of how hot Arizona was in the beginning of the season. Granted, they lost Zach Greinke, but they still have Robbie Ray, who I think is a good starter. They have a very good team in terms of Kentel Marte.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Peralta. Christian Walker had a very good beginning of the season.
Escobar was really good.
Escobar, who I was getting to, yep. And then...
Souza was injured all last year.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, they have that core in Zona, and then in Colorado just had a down year. They still have Blackman and Arenado. They just need starting pitching, which they could be a team that's in the mix for like a Zach Wheeler or somebody like that. So I just think that
and the Padres.
Right, and then you have the Padres who have a new manager and stuff, but they have a decent core too. I mean, the left side of their infield is like about as MVP caliber as it gets. But another thing that I think we're all kind of neglecting to talk about is how the Kansas City job isn't necessarily a terrible job. They have no pitching. They have like 0 pitching, but they have good pieces in terms of fielding. Like, they still have Alex Gordon, who was productive this season. They have Nicky Lopez, who was very green in terms of like hitting, but as a second baseman, he was a very good second baseman. A lot of steals. Alberto Mondesi, who I'm keeping in fantasy, was phenomenal this year when he was healthy. The problem is that he has to stay healthy. Hunter Dozier at third base, same situation, has to stay healthy, but he was hitting. He was a top 100 player in fantasy baseball before he got hurt. Mm-hmm. So the Kansas City job, while people will probably hate on it, if it was like a Gabe Kapler, who we've established was kind of like a rookie manager, if he gets that job, I think he could really run with it.
If you want to talk about easy divisions, that's one of them.
Oh, definitely. There,
you don't mean the AL Central's a murderer's row? What are you talking about?
Well, when they have to go up to Target Field, it's a murderer's row of terms of home runs. But fuck, like, I mean,
the Tigers are scary, man.
I say don't sleep on the Kansas City job.
All right. Do you want to do?
Let's go into race to the bottom.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want to do it for last week too, since we can do it retroactively?
That's what I said.
I was a proponent.
Also, is Austin still in this since we can't buy a dead man lunch?
Well, no, but he could buy me lunch.
It's very true. I was a proponent in calling last week a bye week.
Ain't no
we already had a week 1 bye week though.
Yeah, we already had the week 1 bye. We have to a slow start. I don't want to take a bye in the middle of the season.
All right, so we're gonna draft 2 teams. Let me. Grayson, do you have the scores from last week?
No, here's what we're gonna do.
I already wrote on the board.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna take out all the.
No, I mean like the scores from the NFL games.
Oh, the fantasy player scores.
Well, or just like like who was on bye.
Listen, we just need to figure out who was on bye.
Right. Because we had that problem when we did the live draft, picking.
What do you mean?
Was it week 6 or week 7?
we had that bye week misinformation.
It took like 3 different teams that were on buys. It was something. I don't know how I fucking managed that. That was incredible.
So let me see.
Team's got like 7 wins now. So this was week 7. This last week was week 7. So
let me just like a week 7 bye week.
Must be nice having 7 wins.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, you're gonna tell me all about having 7 wins.
Anybody know any Niners fans?
Yeah, my old band director was a Niners fan.
Really?
Yeah.
My uncle is a Niners fan. I have no idea why. But
yeah, actually, my Uber to the train station for fall break was a Niners fan.
Week 7.
Interesting.
Yeah, right.
The week 7 buys was Carolina, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Tampa.
Carolina, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Tampa.
We got a new hat this week.
Pittsburgh and Tampa. It's true. We have a flying squirrel hat. It's a mass flying squirrel.
Yes, but it's the like the Spanish heritage month of flying squirrels. Because this logo is fucking badass.
It is pretty good. I wish you guys could see it.
Los Ardillas Voladoras.
Bro, you gotta post that so I can retweet it.
Yeah, well, or you can take a picture of him. Put it on Big 4.
Yeah, how did you, man? You guys gone through like 28 fucking teams. There you go. He finally did it. He had like 2 teams he hadn't gotten to left by the time he got all the 4 out.
Miami and Arizona were the last 2.
No. We got the teams that got picked last week too. Forgot about those.
You want to pull all of them?
What do you mean? We still got teams left in last week that got picked. We got to pull those out too.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
You
guys are Jesus Christ. You guys are dense.
No, you're absolutely right.
Atlanta, the Chargers.
I have I had Goff. I had LA Rams.
Okay,
Rams. Oh, that's right. I'm so sorry, Grayson.
Remember when we thought
I came in third.
That's true.
LA Rams.
I haven't won, but I came in third. It's on the board.
Didn't you get the Patriots or something?
He had, I don't know. The picture in a group chat doesn't say.
I'm pretty sure it was the Patriots. I bet money it was
Matty
the Patriots.
Ice. Oh, it was Mariota. Yeah, because he shit the
Tennessee,
bed.
right there. Jake's somehow going to struggle to get all these pieces of paper into the cup now. He's really good at this.
Fold them. That's the problem.
Yeah. Excuses.
That's like the second
bum.
word out of your mouth that sounded really New York this show.
Dude, one of my friends. Yeah,
Problem.
one of my friends.
And then when you said because of my father for the Duke thing.
the father.
Or Notre Dame.
Fucking dead.
One of my friends that lives in New York but doesn't live in like New York. When he gets.
Rochester.
Yeah, no. He lives in like fucking
Clifton Springs.
Grafton or some shit, like some backwoods fucking New York area. Yeah.
This doesn't live in the hills of Corning.
When he gets really drunk, he speaks in like an actual New York accent. It makes
Like
zero
upstate New York?
Yes, it's actually incredible.
Almost Ohioan.
It's wild.
All right. Go.
Oh boy. No, that's right. We're not even using the hat. We use the hat for
We use that for
yeah. Oh boy, who did I get? I got
Kansas City. Well, you got Matt Moore. Baby. You got Matt Moore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. This is still gonna suck.
You got Cincy.
Jake got Cincy. Must be nice.
Yeah.
I got Oakland.
And,
That's the third time they've been picked.
And
Austin.
And Austin got Minnesota.
Oh boy. Oh, Minnesota.
Minnesota definitely had the best week.
Okay, hold on.
No, worst week, right?
Like best week in
Hold on,
terms of actual production.
Yeah.
Hold on.
No, we don't have to worry about this right now. This doesn't matter right now.
But I would. Okay, yeah. So let's add up the points once we're done.
Yeah,
So what was
exactly.
5 weeks this week?
And then for week 8, it is Baltimore and Dallas.
Okay.
You didn't even talk about Andre Drummond today. It's your fucking dude.
MVP.
Put up 32 and 23 with 4 blocks last night, and you didn't even talk about him.
even follow basketball until March.
No, this is why I don't give a shit about basketball until March. Is you gonna talk to me about Andre Drummond's like the best center in basketball or something, and you'd be like, "Congratulations, you can't play him in the playoffs." It's the same fucking issue.
He's just my boy. That's all. All right.
I got him in the hat now. This is how you know it's authentic.
Who goes? Okay,
I'm going
Ricky?
first. I go first for some reason. I don't know why.
Man's got KC last week. Okay.
Oh man, and I got. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I got Pittsburgh. I should have been feeling that.
You got some Delvin Hodges.
I got some very
Is this
good
for Austin or me?
I got some very good quarterbacks. It's for you.
Make the decision now.
It's for you.
This is for you.
It's for you.
For me.
Okay.
Tennessee.
Tennessee.
All right, and for just my father and brethren, pour one out. Let's pick Austin's.
Your dead wife.
My dead wife.
My dad going to get Siggy's. He'll be back sometime in 20
Jacksonville.
years.
Jackson.
Wow.
He got fucking
Gardner.
shoe.
Gardner Minshew.
And I think the favorite to win this week, who did I get?
Who's gonna have a really good week this week, Grayson? You
Yeah.
tell us.
No, let the hat tell you,
Let's
Grayson.
find out.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay.
Jameis Winston.
Jameis.
You know,
Oh my God.
listen, you know how you know if Jameis Winston's going to have a good week or not? If Field Yates sits him in fantasy.
Yeah.
Point.
That's how you know.
All right.
That is how you know.
I had Cincy and Tennessee.
I had Oakland and Tampa.
Oakland and Tampa.
I got Kansas City and Pittsburgh.
How did we pick? Okay, so we picked 2 of the teams who had bye weeks last week. This is weird.
That's funny. You're right.
It's really weird how this lines up. We had like the AFC East week.
So
Yeah, that was funny. AFC East minus the Patriots, and I get the fucking Rams. We have it recorded on the pod for posterity. If we want to write it down, one is with a NASCAR fact, and we can get the hell out of here.
exactly. Yes.
Can't wait for this NASCAR fact.
All right. What do you got for us, Grayson?
It's my time to shine. So I think I'm gonna have to visit Austin's grave to just tell him this one because I've really thought about this with him in mind. And so this was inspired by a guy on YouTube I watched who does various NASCAR videos, and then some further research on my own to back it up. But we are all familiar with the term scoregami. SB Nations, John Boyce is kind of
John Boyce, he's the godfather of scoregami.
exactly,
no.
a unique score that has never happened in NFL history. Well, this, my friends, is NASCAR-agami.
Uh-oh, NASCAR-agami?
Yes. And there was a couple directions I could have gone with this. But there are 110 eligible card numbers in NASCAR. The 00 through the 09, and then 0 through 99.
Okay.
And out of the 110 card numbers, there are 24 card numbers who have never won a race,
All right.
regardless of all the drivers.
Yeah.
So Like next time, I think like right now, well, actually only has a couple more races because Matty D is getting a new job next year. But and the card number 70 has raced in 761 races and never won a race. That's the most.
760 and it's
761 races, and that card number is winless.
That's so sad.
So the next time one of these 24 card numbers wins a race, it's NASCAR Origami.
Oh, that was good. That was
NASCAR
fun.
Origami, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm here for the continuity.
Also, 69 has never won a race.
That's not nice.
And we almost had it this year too. 95 has never won, and he got passed with like a few laps to go at Bristol and came in second.
That's a fucking bummer.
That would have been a history. Would have been a milestone.
All right, we got anything else we want to talk about?
I don't think so. NASCAR playoffs are in full swing. Tiger's leading his tournament right now.
Nice.
How cold is it?
Marvin Bagley's
Right
missing
now?
4 to 6 weeks with an injury, by the
66
way.
degrees and sunny.
Alrighty, boys.
Up to the boy.
This was fun. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Later.
Later, guys.